Hello, ladies. And speaking of ladies, I'm actually going to talk about women today. Specifically to the younger women, not necessarily older women. It's not to say that I'm disrespecting them or anything. It's just, when it comes to sports, which is the subject I'm talking about if you accidentally clicked on or something. No, this doesn't have to do with that complicated thing or whatever controversial whatever that's going on in your current times with whatever else you're doing. And I know who I'm talking about with, but if you're listening to this in the future, I actually would have no idea. So comment your thoughts and thoughts down below or whatever in the comment section. Anyway, specifically to you younger women, if you want to get into sports, whatever sport you want to get into specifically, like that one league you really want to get into, do your research. If your boyfriend forced you to watch this, they're telling to you for a reason. They're saying, hey, I want to enjoy this game, or hey, I want you to understand this sport, but you need to understand it yourself first before we can actually do it, because, if we can both understand each other with things like that, we can understand each other with other things. Like, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And when I mean old, I just mean, like, women who are, like, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like, they kind of had a cultural head start. Whereas women in their 20s, or I guess teens, if you want to call that a woman, in the sense of, like, adulthood, they don't really get a head start because, one, women's sports are not as popular as men's sports, so you don't get to see a lot of that, and so it's not necessarily representation that makes women want to be in sports. It's more of just like you have to encourage it in their lives or encourage it in your own life. So if whoever sent you this video who's like really into sports and wants you to like understand it, basically view it like how they view it is like how you view your forms of entertainment. If you like, for example, like if you like drama shows or romance or whatever, yeah, take that, but with the idea of like points and like games and stuff. But instead of like all the drama of he broke up with me, it's all the drama of they won the game or they lost the game. It's more of a cultural effort kind of thing. But I can't say too specific on whatever sport you're looking into because, again, it is specific. Like, it's up to you if you want to do that or not. So if you want to do that, at least do the research. And if you have certain opinions on it, you can look on that. But here's one of those things. If it's a mainstream sport, one of the things you don't want to do, such as for something like soccer, or I guess some people call it, what do they call it? They call it football for some reason, or association football, I guess, even though where I live, football's the NFL, well, technically. And then there's stuff like baseball, those kind of things. What you don't want to do is say, hey, it's just a game with balls. Why do you like it so, like, you don't want to do that. Like, why do you like it so much? It's just a game with balls. It's just a silly game. How is this even a sport? Dude. Okay. If you go and do that, what you're basically saying is, I don't like the things you like. You're basically saying that I don't agree with it because I don't understand it. Like, just because you don't understand it doesn't necessarily mean you like it. I'm not saying, like, you have to like it or something. I'm just saying, at least when you want to, like, enjoy the moment with your partner or whatever, at least understand what they're talking about, so that way at least you would, be able to have those conversations and stuff and actually, have fun with it. That's for that part. But if you're into more niche sports, it's technically fine, but I still wouldn't recommend it. I highly still wouldn't recommend to say, oh, it's just a sport. Oh, it's just a silly game. You know? Like, if it's like something like poker or something, then yeah, I can understand. But if it's like soccer, as I call it, football, the NFL, actual football, um, basketball. I know I'm probably gonna upset some soccer fans, or a lot of soccer fans when I say that. Anyway, baseball, basketball, volleyball. There's even women's sports. So if you want to see it from your side of view, I guess you can. Like there's literally for almost every sport. There's literally like male and female separate versions even in esports, but esports is its own kind of thing entirely, and it has its own categories of things of what it represents entirely as well within it, because it's more complicated. But anyway, this is not exactly what it's about. If you want to get into sports and you want to understand those games without having to be like a mega super fan or something like that, just be like a fan with whoever you're, I don't know, in a relationship with or related to or with friends with or something. Just simply do a basic Google search. Search up whatever sport rules for entering whatever sport you want to enter in. Like that's pretty much all I gotta say on this. And also, it's mostly associated with men because most sports are physical. And when it comes to, well, not saying that women can't be physical. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to, like, things that involve points, as in, like, scoring points, and that are very physical, just seem to be more natural to men. Not completely, but not to every single man. Don't get me wrong, there are men who are not big into sports. But most men are usually, which basically just means that they'll be more interested into it. Now, again, they might not be a super freak either. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying, like, they're going to be more open-minded about it. And I think the only reason why women just don't really get into sports as much is because we live in a culture, we live in a world where that's just not super common. Like it's just not like what's normally associated with girls. Although there are sports that sort of are associated with girls, such as tennis and technically soccer, and then maybe cricket. But I'm kind of pushing it here with that one. Well, anyway, yeah, just remember these things. When their favorite team of their favorite sport from their favorite league is going really down, try to be their support. I'm not saying like you have to be like support and be like on them all the time. I'm just saying like at least like when you have the time, be there for them, okay? Like that's all I'm saying, okay, ladies? Like that's just what I mean on this. But yeah, and then also, do your research on the sport so that way when, like, you figure out how the point score works, how the system works, at least so that way you can get the basic idea of what even in the world are they saying, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. That's basically about it. And once you get that, as long as you have a good time with it and you don't take it, hopefully don't take it too seriously. Well, in the sense that neither of you take like those sports like deadly seriously, but if that's what you want to do, hey, you got your rights. You got your rights. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, that we don't go out the crazy route. Well, anyway, yeah. So if you want to get into it and you have nowhere else to start with what you think might be your favorite sport and what sports you might like. Go and find something. If you haven't found it, well, there's always more fish in the sea. Speaking of fish, maybe that's a sport too. But who knows? Anyway, I think I should end this video so you can go do your sporting duties or something like that. Well, anyway, yeah, I have nothing much else to say, so that's about it. See ya, and just remember, stay ugly.